So around that time, you know, when hip hop and reggae were starting to make that marriage, right? You can say this is around the time when you met Snow, right?
Yes.
And the first song you produced for him was a song called Runway.
Right.
So prior to that, tell me about the first meeting with Snow.
Well, I met Snow off of Oak Street, off of Harwood in Ajax. Right.
Outside of a nightclub.
No, it wasn't a nightclub. It was a house party. Okay. I was going there to play. Now, my best friend, Tommy, got in a fight. Right. So I'm on the way walking, and then all of a sudden I said, there's Black Bruce Lee, I kick up people. And then when I realized it was Tommy, well, it was Tommy and my friend Christian that was fighting these people. Then police break it up as we got there. And then Snow was there. But I did not know him there. I didn't see him fighting that time. Right. So Tommy introduced me to him. I said, my princess is Darren. Right. So while we're talking, Darren started cuss some bad word in Jamaican. Right. And I'm looking at her and say, this is kind of weird, seeing a white guy. Right. Then all of a sudden, him starts singing. So I say, hold on, are you Jamaican? He says, no. I say, your mom and dad Jamaican? Him say, no. Right. And then he starts singing another song. And then I told him, I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
So you sing reggae and all that. Right. So I told him, come to my house tomorrow. You and Tommy come over. Right. That night I didn't sleep because I know I had hit the jackpot on something.
Yeah.
It was a gem. And that's how I came up with the name Snow. Right? Stands for Superb, Notorious, Outrageous White Boy. So the next day he came over. He was shocked because I was playing videotapes of reggae artists he liked, but he's never seen them before.
Right.
But I had them on video. And then I had like clashes with Barry G against Wadat against Black Star and all them kind of stuff.
And this is all from the tapes that you were getting from New York and stuff like that?
No, this was a tape I got from my Uncle Billy in Jamaica.
Okay.
He sent it up with my mom when she went down in 88.
Yeah.
Right? So I was playing it for him, and then every day he'd come over and practice. So I'd be telling him, no, don't say it like that. Give it more attitude. Don't say warm. Say warm. You understand? Like, fine-tune him, right? Because he's saying that I teach him reggae. No, I met him singing reggae.
Right.
It's just that when you're around me now, you're gonna have a different attitude.
Right.
Like if you're on the turntables and I'm teaching you, and I'm gonna teach you for take off your clothes and put it back on.
Yeah.
Right. So
I'm gonna offer a little bit of pushback.
Sure.
Okay. Because through the interview that we did, he said that he got his name, I guess, from his own hood.
Right? But you said an interview where they asked him where he get his name, and he said Prince gave me the name.
Yes,
that's on the Adrian Clarkson show.
Yes, and I did watch the documentary piece that you sent me, and there was different footage from like old Much Music footage with Christopher Williams and stuff like that.
Yeah, Michael Williams.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So right now he's trying to eliminate me out of the whole picture, saying that he did it, not no Jamaican do it. He did it.
Wow.
But you remember that's what the Europeans did when they went to Africa and chop off the nose and stuff off the images, right?
Yeah. So now you guys had already recorded a few songs. Besides Runway, you had recorded a multitude of songs, including the beginning to Informa.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And
those were demos.
Right.
Those were demos that was recorded from my house. And then when he went to jail and he came out to jail, 3 days later, which was February the 20th, he came out of jail. February the 23rd, I took him to Cali studio. That was 1990.
Right. Now, there was a time now you go to New York City and... Okay, actually, I want to make sure I get these timelines correct.
Sure.
Okay. You guys record a demo of Informa, and on that demo, what's on it? Is the Snow's first verse, and then is the last verse from Lil Red on there also? Or
yes, okay. Okay, how the Informer came about?
Please.
We did it on the Stalag rhythm, right? we put the chorus on the first verse. Then the second song, we did it on the Peeny Peeny rhythm.
Okay.
Right? It's a song that called They Call Me Snow. On the third verse of that song, it's on the second verse of Informer. Right? Then the last verse of Informer now, which is Little Red's verse, Come With a Nice Young Lady and all that.
Yeah.
We did that at Goldfinger Studio. I brought him to Goldfinger Studio in New York, and Goldfinger was testing him. And then Snow said to me, what should I do? And I said, do Come With a Nice Young Lady. And he did it, and I recorded it. Right? And when we met Shan, we had only the 2 verses. Right? So he said he wanted to use the last verse.
Right.
So he used the last verse, but we needed a third verse. So me and him write the third verse, because I was listening to part Lectra at a dance hall. Right? It was Lectra with Major Mackerel. And I think the white boy Dominique was on that video.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, there's the meeting of Shan here. At this point, now that you have Informer and a bunch of other tracks recorded. Okay. And
he's telling a totally different story.
Well, I'm reemphasizing a bunch of other tracks because from the story that I received from the interview, and we're gonna go through the story from your side.
Right.
He met Shan, and he being Snow met Shan in Queens. He sold him some weed
off of Jamaica Avenue. All black people and only one white guy.
Right.
That make any sense?
I understand. Okay. And then I'm just retelling the story that Snow told on the platform here. Okay. And then from there, they started recording, and they recorded the whole Informer album, or the album 12 Inches of Snow. Right? Give me your recollection of the story. Because I also have different pieces where I have Shan saying, I met Prince, his DJ. Right? So you guys were together there on Jamaica Ave.
So let me explain what happened. I was playing my demo of Informer at Music Factory. It's a record store off of Jamaica Avenue in the Coliseum. Okay. Right? I was playing for a guy named Walt. Walt is the manager for Black Moon.
Yes, Mr. Walt.
Right. His brother is Evil D. So when I was playing the song, I looked over at the side and I saw a guy dancing to it while he's looking through records. Right? So when the song finished, Walt said, yo, I like the Informer song. The guy tapped me and said, yo, is that your stuff? And I said, yes. And when I look, it was Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest.
The Abstract.
Right. And then he hooked me up with a lady from Def Jam. So I called her, she hooked me like 3 weeks later. So I came back to Canada, did some more demos with Snow, came back to New York, see my son's mother. On my way to Def Jam, I said, let me stop over the studio, Goldfinger Studio, right? And to tell Goldfinger, yo, I'm going to Def Jam. While I was there, Large Professor was there, right? And they were talking. And I kept looking at this guy because he kept looking at me. I said, boy, this guy looks so familiar.
Yeah.
Right? Like him to have on a dingy white shirt, right? And 2 different Pumas, but it never clicked in, right? It's until when he told Finger, he said, see you later, Finger. Because Finger did ignore him, right? And him walking out, while I'm walking away, the back of his shirt said MC Shan. It was faded red that it's now pink.
Big salute to our sponsors, Diamond Club Delivery. They got delivery all over the GTA and a crazy selection of flowers, tinctures, edibles, and everything that you need. You can also check them out on the 7 Days of Weed website, s7daw.com, or you can check them out on their Instagram, diamondclub_905.
Right? And that's when I went and I told Shan about Snow.
Yeah.
And while I'm telling him about Snow, right, I said, Finger, tell Shan about Snow. And they were like, yeah, man, the white boy bad. Him bad. But the way how he's talking it, Shan no says a white boy because we're talking as yard man.
Yeah, bring your mic over.
Yeah, we're talking as a yard man, right? So, yeah.
No, you're good.
No, it's all right. It's all right now.
Yeah, keep on.
Right? So So from there, so Shan goes, if he's that good, let me hear him. Right? I said, well, he's in Canada. Shan said, how soon you can get him here? I said, within about 2 days from now. So Shan gave me his number. So well, I had to convince my son's mother now, because my son wasn't born yet. Right? So I had to convince her and say, listen, you see the money that, because I did get some OSAP money, so I pay off my school. Yeah. But, them give you enough to live on. So I said, the money for the crib, I need to bring Snow down here. And then she'll kick off, no, and blah, 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 right? And I said, trust me, I believe in this. I believe it would happen. And she let me send the money to him. Yeah. He came down. I phoned Shan. I said, he's here. Shan said, let's meet at Goldfinger studio. So when we got to the studio, Shan was there with a guy named Edmund Leary. Okay. But the studio was locked. So them was just sitting outside there was a little patty shop beside the studio that Goldfinger owned. And then that's when I told Shan, this is him and all that. And Shan said, well, let me hear you. And then Snow asked me, what should I sing for him? I said, do Color Me Bad. He did I Wanna Sex You Up. Then I said, do Luther Vandross. And then, because I can mimic. And then Shan was like, okay. I said, well, Snow, well, do Informer. And as soon as I'm doing Informer, it was over. Yeah. It was over. So we started recording the demos now, real demos now, at Shan's house. Okay. Right? And then Shan took it to our managers at the time. Well, they weren't our managers at the time. He took us to the managers, and then one of them had a studio. And that's where we did all the recording, Bayside Studio.
And to be clear with the managers, like these were people that Shan was already working with at the time.
Yeah. Shan knew them really well.
Right? Because Shan started a record company shortly after linking up with you guys.
It was more a production company.
Okay.
But the production company was more Edmund Leary.
Interesting.
Edmund Leary was the keyboardist on the whole album. The R&B songs, Edmund Leary wrote those.
Right.
It's just that to never get the financial part of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're all still new and we're still young. He was also new.
Right.
The chatting part, that's me and Snow, because I love chatting. I love the rapping stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically for the album, for the lyrical content of the album.
Right.
It's a product of you producing lyrics or creating lyrics and then giving them to Snow to perform? Yeah. Or are you guys doing references and then he's just redoing the references?
No. Okay. All the songs that Snow was doing was done in Canada. All the chatting stuff. Okay. Was done in Canada. So when he's doing it in front of Shan's like, oh, wow, incredible. But Shan didn't even know the history. Is when my little brother here and my other brother, they saw the cover and wasn't credited because they had just did the printing. And when I talked to the manager on their own, I was like, yo, Steve, why is my name isn't here for the song? Right. And he was like, what are you talking about? All right. I said, my name's not here. Me and Snow did this. Right. And then when he talked to Shan, because Shan was there, we were just mixing the album. Shan said, oh, he always thought it was just Snow.
Wow.
Right? So Snow called in that night from jail because he was at Maplehurst. Right? And that was a separate charge.
This is after the attempted murder.
Yeah, that was after the attempted charge. Yeah, he was on an assault charge. And then Steve Salem, the manager, said, hey, Prince been telling me he wrote these songs and blah, blah, blah. And Snow was like, yeah. Why? What's wrong? What's the problem? All right. And they were like, oh, we're already printed and stuff. So they'll compensate me. They'll give me a contract so I could get my publishing and all that. Right. I did not know what publishing was.
Did you ever receive a contract in the beginning?
Yes, I did. No. I received a contract for the songs, but in the beginning, we had received a recording contract and a management contract from the managers. So what you have to understand, the managers own the record label.
Which is the conflict of interest, but keep going.
Right. That's what Jam Master Jay told me.
Hope you're enjoying the video. Do me a quick favor while you're here and smash that like button so we can break the algorithm. And join the comment gang and subscribe. It's free.
All right.
R.I.P.
So what happened now is that when they gave us a contract, Snow's mom was saying, well, she knows lawyers because him always in the trouble. I do not know no lawyers. I'm never been in trouble.
Right.
Right. And from there, that's the last time we saw the contract.
So Snow's lawyers took care of of what the contracts were supposed to be at this point.
It looked like the managers got him a lawyer. All right. And whatever happened behind the scenes. Because we were trying to rush everything before he went to jail, the album and everything.
Right.
All right.
So he signed something before going to jail?
Yes, because in court it came out he signed in, I think, June 1992. June 1992. And I think the managers in January 1991. And when he signed the one in 1991, no, sorry, January 1992. January 1992. I was at school doing my exams. I was at Seneca doing my exam because as soon as I finished my exam, I came down. Right. Because he was already down there recording. So it looked like they went and did some talking with him behind. And then some money was passed because he got a huge advancement from them.
How much?
$20,000.
So all this happens.
Right.
And then this is the song, then the song takes off.
Right. And so the first time I asked about the contract, the managers are like, Prince, he's in jail. What can we do? Right. Then as soon as he came out, we started traveling within a week. Right. And I still asked about the contract and they were like, oh, when the tour slows down. Because we were going all over the world. Right. It's when everything stopped now. When he got banned and we were in Jamaica and we did Reggae Sunsplash. And I seen him with all this American money and I said, where you get this money from? Yeah. And he said, oh, the manager for the show. I said, so where's my money? Right. And then when I talked to the manager, they say, you have to talk to the accountant. I talked to the accountant, them send me to another person and I realized I get in a running around. Right.
And you're saying that you're touring all these different countries and they're not paying you per city?
No, what they would do is we were going to like the fanciest restaurants, the fanciest hotels. So you really don't need any money because I say, listen, I want that shirt. They go and buy it. Right. I want this shoes. They went and buy it. Right. So there wasn't really anything that we'd need. It's just when the tour stopped. And then what got fishy was when I asked Snow about the contract again, when he's in my driveway, he got the managers to call, and then he came a few days later back to my house, and he presented me with a contract. But the contract was only for Runway. Right? I said, what about the other songs? He said, oh, they said it's coming. Right? And then when my father read the contract, my father said, you're going to need a lawyer on it. So I got in touch with Clive Davis's daughter. Okay. All right. And she said, Prince, I need you in my office ASAP because I had faxed it to her. And she said, you see how it sounds all nice and all that? At the end of it, you get $1. Wow. If you sign it.
So you obviously never signed it?
No, I never signed it. That's what also helped save me in court. Right. Because they were trying to say that they don't know me. Snow was even saying the same thing.
That they didn't know you?
Yeah, they didn't know me. They did not know who I was.
But you're in the music videos.
I know.
Wow.
And I'm on every interview for the first album. Because they were all fascinated. How did this black guy find this white guy that sings reggae?
So, how long did the tour go on for, like the world tour?
It went on for a year. Over a year. Not over a year.
Over a year.
Yeah.
And you're around what age at this time?
I was 21.
Wow, you're super young.
Yeah.
So you guys come off tour. And the first thing that starts making you really realize besides being on tour this whole time and not, the contract and everything like that, realizing that, this might be a one-sided deal is when you see Snow pull up in a Pathfinder.
Right. I was walking with my son. I borrowed $50 from my father.
Wow.
And I was taking him to Payless. So walking over to Payless, and I had my son on my shoulder, and Snow pull up in a Pathfinder. And I said, where you get this from? He's like, oh, he got his money and all this. I said, so where's my money? Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
Right? It was always, it's coming. All right? So, and then I just dropped the lawsuit on him.
And this is a lawsuit that you decided to sue for Informa and other songs. Is it just for Informa?
We're suing I was suing the partnership and I was suing the management.
Right.
The managers.
So you weren't suing Snow directly?
No, I was suing him directly also, but I was also suing the managers then.
And this is for $5 million that you were suing him for?
No,
at the time?
No, it was $500,000.
$500,000?
Yeah. $500,000. That's what my lawyer was asking for in court.
So where do I have that you want a settlement via the jury for $1.5 million?
Right. So what happened now, my lawyer had asked the jury for $500,000. Right? The jury had come back to the judge and they had asked a question. I wasn't paying attention to that, right? And the judge said it's too excessive. I never know what they were talking about. And it's afterwards when the jury came back in, they made a decision in like 45 minutes.
Right.
Right? And they said, we're awarding Marvin Prince $1.5 million, not $500,000. Right? And it was after the jury left, I was downstairs in the lobby, and the jury members came up to me and said, we were awarding you $20 million. But the managers, the case against the managers got thrown out. And it got thrown out because I didn't have the contract. And the managers are saying there's no contract. Right? So that got dropped. Or I would have gotten $20 million, they said.
Wow.
So they gave me what Snow have.
So what did you get out of that case? Monetarily?
I got 4 T-shirts, different colors.
So you got $0 out of the case?
I got 0.
Wow.
Because what happened, I said I think a muscle interview was 8 months later, but it wasn't 8 months, it was 18 months later. Because before I came here, I looked through some of the court documents. And it was 18 months later, the judge came back with and threw out the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay. During that time, you're waiting for $1.5 million to come in?
I'm waiting.
Are you making plans ahead of time?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Because one of them, I was going to quit the whole music business.
Okay.
I was going to buy a pickup truck, go around garbage day, around the nice area suburbs, take up the couches and stuff, repair them, and send it back to Jamaica and open a second-hand shop. Plus, I wanted to open a White Castles at Young and Dundas.
White Castles in Toronto?
Yeah.
Holy, I don't know if we can handle those burgers, bro.
So
that's crazy. So
the whole time, that's my vision.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at some point in time, you guys do see each other again.
Well, during the lawsuit, I did see him for the first time because he tried to get me to stop the lawsuit. So he brought Ninja Man to my hotel.
Okay. So tell me about that interaction.
Well, when I saw Ninja, when he told me...
And then for people who don't know, because we are a hip-hop network.
Right.
Ninja Man,
is
notorious.
Right.
Okay. Gangster / dancehall artist. Okay. I think it was Sting when him and Super Cat were going back and forth and then a gun came out and all types of shit. Like, these guys are the real deal. Right? So when you see Ninja Man with them long red eyes and things like that, like, it might be a problem.
Yes.
Go.
So he knocked on my hotel door. I opened the door. I was like, what's up? He was like, yo, I need to talk to you. So I said, okay. I came out. And then all of a sudden, some man them start opening the exit door and they start walk and stand up. About 40 of them, because I'm counting everybody.
That's crazy.
Right? And I was like, what's this there? And it's like, oh, I just come to talk to you about the lawsuit. And next thing I see Ninja Man come up. Right? And when Ninja Man came out, Ninja Man was looking at the wall. The wall was all white. And I was like, damn, he's coked out. That's what I'm saying. Right? And I said, Darren, this is kind of corny. And he was like, what are you talking about? You remember I'm Jamaican? And he was like, and? All right, watch this, Darren. Desmond. And Ninja Man turned around. I said, well, I'm Desmond. You see my uncle this morning. And he was like, who's your uncle? I said, Desi Young. He said, Desi, your uncle? Yeah, he paid me this morning for the show and all that. And him come hug me up and all that. He said, Desi, your uncle? And then I look at Snow and I just was like, you understand? And I just went back in my room.
Crazy.
And just left it as that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go back a little bit in the story.
Sure.
You guys, when you were recording the songs and stuff in Shan's crib, okay, I don't think it's a secret when it comes to his hip hop game that Shan didn't have the best luck as far as his success in the game.
Shan was financially, spiritually, mentally bankrupt.
There was roaches falling all over the place in the studio?
Over 3,000.
What the heck?
I never drank beer until I went to Shan's house.
Wow.
Right.
And this is after the symphony and
this
the bridge is over and everything. Those songs. The only reason we knew Shan is because of these things.
It was after the Beat Biter, Molly Scratch, the bridge.
Yeah.
You understand? Left Me Lonely. Right. All those hits. Born to Be Wild. But he had nothing. Nothing. And the roach him just a fall off. You know, you think the roach all a fall in your box and the roach I say, you want to fuck him? And say, no. You understand? So
it's taking over. I asked that to ask, what was the situation post Informer coming out?
What do you mean?
Because you go into a crib / studio with 3,000 roaches all over the place. Now he catches a lick.
Right.
He's on a song that's in the Guinness Book of Worlds, a diamond selling single.
Right.
That he has a verse on that apparently he didn't write his verse.
No, his wife did. Terry did. Terry wrote the verse.
Yikes.
Yeah, Terry, his ex-wife, wrote the verse.
So Shan is like one of the early ghost written, or I don't know what to call the ghost writee.
Right? Yeah.
Right? But do you think that this was his opportunity to get out of his situation?
Yes, it was. It was. Because when he met Snow, he knew what to do. Jackpot.
Yeah, because I feel like, and with all, I don't even know how to say when it comes to like this whole Shan situation, if to add with all due respect in front of it, but like, I feel like he's seen a situation and like a label started or like a production company started post this.
Yes.
Because it's like, now I have somewhere now I need an outlet to be able to put this out.
Yes. And he had the outlet. He had the managers. Right? Because Steve Salem, he was the manager for Lisa and the Cult Jam, UTFO, Full Force, Cheryl Pepsi Riley. Right? David Ng, the other manager, he had Bayside Studio. Ozzy Osbourne and all of them record there.
Yeah.
Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, Kwame. Right?
Wow.
So they had their connection.
Yeah, yeah.
So they went and got a distribution deal for them. So Snow signed to them. Right? And they got distribution for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So the song gets what it gets, right? Let's fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
The song goes on to make history.
Right.
Okay. You get cut out the whole situation.
I walked away from it.
You walked away from it.
Yeah, I walked away from it.
And post the court proceedings and everything like that, you go back to your life dealing with what you deal with, right?
Right.
There is a time that you and Snow do meet again.
Yes, we met, I think it was 2015. I was with Chip Fu, because Chip had a performance to do for one of the starting from scratch shows. Right?
And before you get to that story, did you and Chip Fu from the legendary Fushnikins,
Yes.
did you guys meet around them times, like early in those years?
No.
You met Chip Fu later on.
I met Chip Fu later on. And it's weird because Chip does what I do. Sing, chat, and rap.
Yeah.
And I met him in Pickering. Right? So at a friend's house.
Okay.
Right, and that's how we hooked up from there.
Dope.
Yeah.
Oh, salute to Chip Fu.
Yeah.
So you and Chip Fu are together. 2015, you bump into Snow. Tell us the story from what happens there.
Well, I was talking to Chip Fu. And then Chip said, look. And when I look, I saw Snow and he was looking at me. And he come over and he hugged me up. And he was like, I had a dream about you last night. And I said, oh, your conscience will take you. All right. And then he starts telling me, I was on a roof, I was falling off. And you grabbed me, you were pulling me back up.
Yeah.
And I said, Darren, that's not me. He goes, no, you were pulling me back up in the dream. I said, no, it couldn't be me because I would have let you go. Right? Right then, a guy come around the corner and he introduced him to me. That's his manager, this new manager. And he said, this is Prince I tell you about. And he said, tell Prince what I told you this morning. And the man told me the same story.
Yeah.
Right? So that was the only time. That was it.
Wow. This is it's such a wild story because I feel like, fresh off of the heels of just interviewing Stone myself and like just watching other interviews, like your name doesn't get included in the story.
Right.
Why do you think that Snow pretty much for the most part erased your name out of this history of his story?
Because it was either the managers told him that, right? Or he's just doing it because, you remember, and I can say it, and it's not defamation of character, right? He always self-professed that he's a con man, right? Convict. He's an ex-convict. What do convicts do? Manipulate people.
Yeah.
Right? Make you believe their lies. But the problem is, every time him lie, my name keeps surfacing somewhere.
You guys never had a falling out at some point, let's say on tour or anything like that, where like you can start seeing like this is going to start going left? Like there was no red flags or anything along the way?
No, the only thing I always thought he was going to get killed. Because he kept going in and getting into all these different fights and all that. And then when he gets into these fights, I have to either protect him or where the security. He quit. He said, no, this guy going to get me killed.
Yeah.
We love hip hop.
If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out these other videos on the screen and make sure to like and subscribe.
We love hip hop.